The United Kingdom has suffered its very first trans terror attack. This is unbelievable. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thank you so much for watching this channel. Please do subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. It's the best way to absolutely guarantee you get all my videos as soon as they are released. Well, many of you will be thinking that the big issue this week is the budget in the United Kingdom, where it went down even worse with the markets than the Liz Truss budget, and she was thrown out of office for bringing that about, by the way. But I actually think the bigger issue is something that was little noticed on Twitter. I've been making the point to you for some time that people who throw milkshakes over Nigel Farage only do it because they don't have Semtex. The idea is that people want what I call the veto of one. That is to say, if you say something that I personally disagree with, I have the right to cancel you, to veto you, to throw something over you. Only politicians that I personally like what they're saying should be allowed to speak. I think that is the attitude of the political left. I say that that is an act of terrorism, and so I'm willing to call out an incident that took place in an unnamed bar where a lady called Hacket, who has been campaigning for women-only spaces to guarantee that women's sports are not taken over by men. She walked in with some signs saying trans women are men into this bar and was pelted with all sorts of condiments and other items. Obviously, she was incredibly shook up about this. She hasn't given a lot of details on Twitter, but what she has done is given some photos, and I'll put a link to her tweet in the description. But I think this is an extremely worrying thing. There are a lot of trans people who are actually autistic. And obviously, as we know, autism is linked to the crime of stalking and harassment, simply because people can get very fixated if they have that particular brain condition. And I think that is something that we are seeing more and more of. People getting fixated. We have problems at my work at Talk TV where people who are from the trans community will literally stalk the presenters that they disagree with, and we've got a number of security measures in place to protect them. But when we look at all this, when you're saying that people will be pelted in bars, when you're talking about additional security measures at TV stations, when you're talking about the pylon on the internet, I'm confident now that we should be looking at some of these trans groups and prescribing them under the Terrorism Act. That is to say that we believe that they are now terrorists. I think terrorism runs much deeper in the United Kingdom than perhaps you think. What you think of is Irish people with balaclavas and Semtex, but I'm not so sure that's right. As I said before, I think that there is a much more wider context of terrorism of people who believe that they have the right to shut the motorway, have the right to stop ambulances, have the right to throw paint all over paintings, have the right to abuse people in bars, have the right to throw a milkshake over Nigel Farage. These are people who believe that their political views are more important than the democratic system. Look at Extinction Rebellion. A couple of years ago, they said that they would shut down London. They would make it impossible for the capital city of the United Kingdom to function. And what did they demand in exchange for calling this off? They said they wanted abolition of the independent judiciary. That is to say that judges were no longer allowed to jail their activists and instead should be jailing people for disagreeing with their theories on climate change. An end to independent and fair policing, that is specifically to back up the courts. The creation of a Supreme Soviet in Westminster to replace the national parliament. And that is to say that trans activists, environmental activists, left-wing activists would come together as a citizens' assembly, a Supreme Soviet, and be the ultimate governing body of the United Kingdom. And then, of course, they had various other things, including demanding that Viscount Monckton, the former deputy leader of UKIP, be executed publicly. This is a very, very worrying situation. And what are we doing here in our universities? We are empowering extremists. We are saying to people that, you know, no matter what crazy view you have, you are allowed to put it forward and you are allowed to enforce it virtually at the barrel of a gun. We heard it, didn't we, with Meghan Markle and Oprah Winfrey. This is my truth. No, 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 no. There is the truth and there are things that are not the truth. When you say that something is the truth from your perspective, what you are actually talking is BS. But we consistently tell young people that they should be allowed to indulge whatever stupidity they think is appropriate. Think about the ultimate high priestess of the trans and indeed the environmental movement, because by the way, I see them as exactly the same thing, all trying to smash the decent, hard-working people. Greta Thunberg. Now, Greta Thunberg plays a 12-year-old, but is in fact an adult. She deliberately dresses in that juvenile look. But when she was in school, think about this. Think about your daughter. Think about your granddaughter. Think about your family. What would you do if they said this to you? She said that she would not speak at all or go into her school because she believed the planes flying above the school were gassing her. Now, if it was you and you were told that by your daughter or granddaughter, what you would not do is what the Thunbergs did, which is mount a national campaign to ban the planes. You would take her to a psychiatrist. If you believe that planes flying over your school are gassing you, you're suffering from some sort of mental problem. Similarly, if you believe that you are a man trapped in a woman's body or a woman trapped in a man's body, then you are deluding yourself. Now, let me tell you, I have absolutely no problem whatsoever with anybody making any body modifications they want. You want to get a tattoo, you want to get an earring, you want to get a navel piercing, you want to have your genitals amputated, knock yourself out. I wouldn't strongly advise you to do it, but here's my point. What would you turn around to somebody who said there's a particular condition where you believe that your arms are alien to you? Would you say the solution to that is to chop off your arms? The problem is, if you believe that you are trapped in the wrong body, then after you have that corrective surgery, you still believe you're trapped in the wrong body, and then you want to go back. And so we are indulging people in this way and forcing them into very, very invasive and dangerous medical procedures. I disagree, by the way, with the Lady Gaga-isation of all of it, where she says, born this way, baby. No, I'm sorry, you're not born this way. The justification for you wanting to amputate your genitals is that you want to do it. And by the way, trans activists are also demanding, and part of the reason that they're fighting in this terror war against ordinary people is they're demanding that children be chemically castrated. You can't say that, Andre. Yes, I can say that. Alan Turing committed suicide as a result of chemical castration because he was convicted of being gay. We often see people saying that sex offenders should be chemically castrated. The drugs that they were giving to children at the Tavistock Medical Centre are the same drugs. Puberty blockers and chemical castration suppress your testosterone or estrogen. That is what they are. And so, should we be standing back and allowing these terrorists to force us into this position? Should we be standing back and allowing our cities to be crushed by environmental activists? And should we be allowing the police to high-five with protesters whilst rounding up ordinary people? Who was it who said that when it came to supporting the gay community, the police painted flags on their cars? When it came to supporting the environmental community, they high-fived them. When it came to supporting Black Lives Matter, they took the knee. But when it came to supporting ordinary parents in Southport concerned about terrorism, they turned up in the riot gear. And why did they do it? Because these trans terrorists are frightening them. These environmental terrorists are frightening them. And so ordinary rank and file police officers are forced to fight ordinary people. That is a disgrace. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. It's the best way to absolutely guarantee you get all my videos as soon as they are released. Until next time, goodbye.